I was planning for this episode to be the proclamation that the season is dead, that it's over, move on. Where does this collapse rank in the history of the franchise? But I'm like, you know what? Let's watch Braxton Ashcraft first. I said they had to win the series. They already lost it, but let's just watch Braxton just in case he does something incredible. Because he is one of those players that anytime he steps onto a baseball field, he can do something incredible. And wow, did he do something incredible on Thursday. Good morning and welcome to Offbeat here on North Shore 9 presented by FanDuel. My name is Alex Stumpf and this is a daily look at your Pittsburgh Pirates. Braxton Ashcraft pitched his first career complete game on Thursday, shutting down the Marlins, and it wasn't until a garbage time home run in the ninth that they even get on the board. It's a Maddox, 85 pitches, pure brilliance. I'm gonna hit you with the stat first here. Pirate pitchers to throw a complete game on 85 or fewer pitches. This is going to be since 1988, whenever pitch tracking was and pitch counts were more formally uniform. The list is Doug Drabeck, who did so in 1990, Jeff Karstens, who did so in 2011, and now Braxton Ashcraft. There's not a lot of people in this club. 85 pitches for a complete game. And honestly, I didn't really have Braxton as a candidate to throw a complete game this year. Just because his pitch count we've seen has been that 80 to 85 pitch range. But I'm going to give some kudos to Don Kelly here. First, to just let him finish it. Because there has been so much talk about his workload and his innings and how much he's able to do. Those were low stress innings. He just went out there and threw strikes, got whiffs, got called strikes, got quick outs. It's the type of game that as a pitching coach, you have to love. That was pure brilliance. Like, he was still missing bats. He still struck out 10, but there were a lot of quick outs. There were a lot of fast innings. There was really no reason to take him out of the game. Really, the closest reason they had to take him out was just because the offense was piling on in the ninth inning against that position player. And it created a long inning and a long break. And okay, you're breaking the rhythm here, that type of stuff. It's not lost on me that the one bad pitch Braxton Ashcraft made came after that long break. But he quickly rebounded and he attacked. And we have seen of late, especially like in July, Braxton Ashcraft wasn't as sharp as what we saw the first couple months. And I really am looking at one pitch in particular that he leaned on heavily on Thursday that we didn't see a whole lot of in July, and that's the sinker. Ashcraft has two good fastballs, and I need to emphasize they're both good pitches. He should throw both. I like the sinker more personally. The sinker plays off of the slider. He attacks with it. There are more righties in that Marlins lineup, and he really went after it. He threw 34% of his pitches were sinkers, and that was something we haven't seen in a while. In July, that month where he kind of looked human, he threw his sinker 8.9% of the time. I like both fastballs. He should use both fastballs. The four-seamer does a really good job tunneling off of the curveball. It enhances the curveball. It's a good weapon to use against left-handers. While the sinker maybe doesn't play as well to lefties, more to righties, but he still needs both. And whenever he actually has both fastballs going, I'm not surprised he maybe defers a little more to the sinker. And he just attacked with it. And it was pretty relentless. Those Marlins did not have an answer to that fastball. He just kept attacking. Whenever he would go to curves, he would get whiffs. Whenever he would go to sliders, he would get weak contact. It was what you wanted to see. This is what you want to see because this is a huge year for Braxton Ashcraft. This is his first full year as a true starting pitcher. After COVID, after Tommy John, whenever he finally started to come back on the scene in 2023, they were very short starts. They were starts only in that he was the first pitcher out there. And he would go 1 or 2 innings in Double-A. And then he goes to Triple-A, and it's still shorter starts. And then last year, he gets called up, and it's mostly bulk rolls out of the bullpen. But as the year goes on, he starts, he earns that spot. No questions asked. Spring training, he's part of this rotation, and then he has a great first half. He becomes an all-star. It's all great. But there is always that nagging fear of, how does he finish? Because him being an all-star is a great accomplishment. It's something he should be proud of. The pitching team should be proud of. From Vic Black to, Josh Hopper to all these people who made an impact along the way. They all should be proud. But the true tenet of being a real starting pitcher is being able to take that ball every 5 days over the course of 6 months. How will he do with that challenge? And there was a lot of speculation on how they would do it. A lot of doubt. Do you remember in May, whenever we were talking about, does he go to the bullpen? What do the Pirates do to manage his innings? You know what? Every single one of his pitches on August 13, a start where he was brilliant for 85 pitches, all of those pitches were within 0.2 mile per hour velocity-wise of what he threw all year. There weren't any 95 mile per hour fastballs. There wasn't that Paul Skeens pitch where it's like, hey, he's 5-6 miles per hour slower than what we saw a year or two ago. No, he was pretty steady. And the stuff held as the game went on. He was pumping 97 in the 8th, 96 in the 9th. Like, he was pretty on the ball. And last year, I remember hearing the entire time, like, yeah, he's got innings limits we're going to see. And he just kept surpassing those innings limits because the stuff held. If there was any reason to shut him down, they would have. But it's like, you know what? The stuff is just as good. Push him a little further. And they pushed him a little further, and that's how he responded. And now here we are in August, and he's pushed, and he delivers. If there is any criticism that you could have on this start, and I think there is one legitimate criticism here, it would have been nice to have had this 2 weeks ago. I know that's completely out of his control. It's not a real criticism. The only criticism is, well, this team is pretty much done after losing 7 straight series. It's a little too late for this year. So you focus more on 2027. And Braxton Ashcraft is going to have to be a big part of the Pirates in 2027 if they are going to be a contender. So how do you set him up? You have him start for 6 months. Thursday was great. Thursday was a perfect storm of a young pitcher rebounding after a couple weeks of not his A game. Like, I hesitated there. It's like, it was kind of mediocre by his standards. That wasn't the all-star Braxton Ashcraft. And you look at it, it's like, that ERA is over 4. Okay, how does he finish this year? That was a really good indicator of what he could potentially bring down the stretch. And his starts still matter because it's not just finishing this year, it's setting himself up for 2027. If he is able to go 150, 160 innings this year, that is huge for next year because they're going to ask for another innings jump, and he's just going to be in a better position. It's a lot easier to go from 160 to 180 than from 130 to 180. Having a way to add those innings, add those ups is important. And whenever he's able to do what we saw Thursday over the course of a game, where his velocity holds inning by inning, where his spin holds regardless of the amount of ups he's having, I feel a lot more confident that he can run through the bag here, that he can finish this season. And if he's able to finish this season, that's going to be big for 2027. And this is a rotation that we talked yesterday. There were a lot of question marks on how do you just finish the year here. I'm sure Don Kelly isn't minding, finally getting a complete game and giving his bullpen a breather, especially after that bullpen game on Wednesday. That's what this team needed. I think it's too little too late in terms of their playoff odds in 2026. I didn't check their playoff odds before recording, but I'm pretty sure I was seeing like 3 or 4% coming into the day. And they really needed to win that series in Miami to have much of a hope. Maybe if they sweep the Red Sox, it'll spare the team the season is over podcast that I was planning for this to be. Do you know how good Braxton Ashcraft had to pitch for me to put all this prepared material on this collapse on ice? For being like, well, maybe I'll record this Sunday night instead. It needed to be a performance like that. And whenever he was moving after 6, my first thought was like, okay, he might be done. It's late in the year, 6 strong innings, take it and leave it. And then he went up for a 7th. It's like, okay, that's probably it. And then he went back out for the 8th, and I'm thinking he might actually do it. This is a rarity in our game in 2026. We don't see starting pitchers go the whole way. And he just didn't give them a single reason to take him out of that ballgame. That is what Braxton Ashcraft brings to the table, especially whenever he has that sinker working and he can lean on that as his main pitch. Yeah, there have been some ups and downs this year, but it's an all-star campaign. And here we are with 6-ish weeks left in the season. Let's see what he does. Because I feel like Braxton Ashcraft starts are the most required viewing looking out of this rotation the rest of the way. Because Paul Skeens isn't going to regain 2025 Paul Skeens standards the rest of the way. Jared Jones is always going to be on that workload monitor. It's Ashcraft and Chandler who have the potential to, have these great outings, at least in my opinion. And we saw one on Thursday. I'm very interested to see how he follows this up, how his body responds to those 9 ups, following through. There's always, that unforeseen, that unknown that comes after a start. But right now, you just feel good for the dude. You're happy for his personal accomplishment that in this great year, he has the best start of his major league career so far. And whenever you look at 2027, I'm less and less worried about workloads and innings for that year because he is showing so much this year. Thank you so much for listening to Offbeat here on North Shore 9 presented by FanDuel. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe wherever you find podcasts or check us out on YouTube if you want to see my smiling face. Thank you so much for listening. Have a good weekend, and we will talk again on Monday.
All right, that wraps up this episode of North Shore 9. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whether you're listening on the podcast or catching us on YouTube, if you enjoyed the show, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It really helps us grow. And if you're listening on the podcast, a quick review goes a long way in helping others find the show. Plus, be sure to tell a friend about us. There's always room for more here in the NS9 community. And for those looking to support us a little more, consider joining our Patreon, become an MVP member, and get exclusive perks while helping us continue to bring you more of the Pirates content you love. Thanks again for all your support, and let's go Bucks.